Another thing that we do that's a little unorthodox, and it takes a different mindset. You can see this lure on here. I use large baits. That's a 3-inch slab slayer, Bobby Garland. That's a large crappie bait. We use that 90% of the time. And that is a bad misconception of crappie fishermen, that crappie do not eat large baits. Everybody, when they started crappie fishing with their grandpa or where it was either minnows on a bobber or a little bitty 32nd, 16th ounce jig head. We personally do not own a 16th ounce jig head. 20 years I don't fish with them, I won't fish with them. It's 1/8 ounce all the way to a 1/2 ounce. People, that just blows people's mind. When you look at that though, that's 3-inch bait, 3/16 ounce lead head. That is not bigger than any minnow that's in the lake that they're eating. This is this type 40 biting. So the biggest misconception I have is small baits for crappie. I do the complete opposite. Again, this ain't gonna work for everybody, but I use big baits to catch big fish. It absolutely works. I live by it. I'm using big lures. I don't run on a lake where I'm not throwing a big lure. So try, if you're daily fishing and you're using your little micro tubes and your 32nd ounce lead heads and you're catching 10, 11-inch crappie, switch over to a big bait and see if those bigger crappie aren't there. This is what we do. We use a bigger bait, just like the bass guys throwing 10-inch worms or those huge stick baits. We use bigger lures. That's what we've done. Kind of made our living off using these bigger baits and fishing fast. So don't be scared. Don't be scared of these big baits. They do catch crappie. So our mindset is a little bit different. We go out on the lake. Like I said, I'm not a guide. I'm not out there to get 70 eater crappie. I'm out there to get the 7 biggest that live in the lake because I'm a tournament fisherman. That's fun to me. So we use this technique, a little bit different mindset, knowing going out, you're not going to catch 70 to 80 crappie. This mindset is going out and catching the biggest crappie in the lake. That's all I care about. I've caught 1 million crappie in my life. I don't care about catching 7. I just want the biggest. So that's where my power fishing and my speed and all that comes in. And the bigger baits is our key. We're using these large baits, eliminating a lot of those 10, 6, 7-inch crappie. They're fun to catch. Everybody loves eating them. I love eating crappie. We'll catch those, but when we're tournament fishing, you don't need 70 crappie, you need 7. So this right here, don't be scared of this. And I know everybody doesn't crappie fish or tournament crappie fish, but don't be scared of this thing, especially in the springtime when they're spawning. This bigger bait will eliminate. If you want to catch bigger fish, try these bigger lures. I mean, that is definitely a tip that anybody can use, and it does work. So again, our lead heads. We talked about the bait. Bobby Garland is all we use. They have all kinds of different baits. We tend to use the bigger one. We'll talk about the baits in a minute. The lead head, and I said that we don't own a 16th ounce lead head, and that is just that blows crappie fishermen's mind. We don't own them, we don't use them. I use 1/8 ounce all the way up to 1/2 ounce, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that heavier lead head, I do the complete opposite, and I think completely opposite of everybody else. Everybody thinks you gotta have that 16th, 32nd ounce lead head and let that thing drift down, fall slow. And we already talked about my ADD. I can't do that. I gotta go fast. Right? I'm nervous. I gotta keep moving. That 16th, that 32nd. Yes, there's days that crappie want that thing falling and slow, and that's not me. I want that complete opposite. I don't want those crappie that don't want to bite and they want that foo-foo stuff. I want them to boom. I want them to hit it. I want that thing falling fast. Complete different mindset of everybody else. I want that bait moving quickly by their face to where they don't even think about it. That thing, the 32nd, 16th falling, they go, yeah. Oh, no, that's a strike king, whatever they want this. I want that thing going boom, and them going bam, hitting it. I mean, so the bass fishermen do this, and I actually learned that fishing a DSS event. I fished with Gary Klein 25 years ago. He was pitching a huge jig, and it was falling as fast as he couldn't get a jig, and it was just reaction. And that's what this is. It's reaction. It's going past that crappie's nose and it's hitting it. That's one thing that it does. Complete opposite of the 16th or the 32nd falling slow. The other thing it does, it allows me to fish faster. It allows me to fish a lot faster, and that's what I want to do. And I have 8 hours to go out and tournament fish and catch the 7 biggest crappie living in the lake. This 32nd ounce mold glow head here will allow me to fish 30 more trees than my competitor. Why is that? Because he pitches in his 16th ounce, and it's falling, and it's slowing. I've already dropped this in to the tree. I didn't get bit into the next one. I've already fished that tree by the time his jig is still falling to the bottom. Okay, so it's a speed thing for me, and it's the reaction bite. Again, I'm not going to sit in there and try to talk them into biting. Either you're going to bite or I'm going to the next tree. That's the only two options. There are no other options for me. Yes, sir.
So how many drops or casts do you do per tree?
One.
One, that's it?
One drop. That's all I'm giving them. Yes, sir.
You mentioned your dad started at the bottom and worked his way up, and you showed yourself using a pendulum.
Yeah.
Did you pendulum every tree?
Every tree.
Okay.
Unless it's so woolly you can't do that.
Yeah.
There's limbs straight in, straight out. But no, it's just a straight piece of pole timber. It's pitched past, let it fall past the tree and come to a rest right at the base. Yes. And that's where I'll hold it still. Everybody, almost probably 95% of the people hold their jig still like this. Crappie hit that way, absolutely. But that's where he will start raising it up to try to get in the strike zone. So, yeah, keep asking questions.
Do you hold it still until your dad gets to the top? And how
Yes.
do you have your timing
Yes.
on moving to the next tree?
Yeah, that is exactly right. And we do this without even talking about it. 20 years sitting side by side. I'm holding it still until I see his jig come out of the water, control the motor, next tree. Sometimes, if I don't throw him out of the boat.
I know you only show you one jig on there. Do you ever put two jigs, give them different colors?
I've never used two jigs. And I know a lot of pros do, and Classic was on Real Foot Lake less than 10 years ago. We used this technique. We had a top 10 finish. The trees were slick. We had two jigs on. Big fish on the bottom, got hung up, broke off. Fishing the cover and the timber that we're doing, I don't like it. I don't like the double jig. If you're in open water and there's no structure around this crappie, I like double jig. But for what we're doing, getting down into a cedar tree, a cypress tree, a hedge tree, bow dart, whatever they call them down here when I'm from south I am. I call them a hedge tree, hedge apple tree. Texas, they're bow dart. We'll talk about being a botanist here in a little bit. But that's why I fish one. It's just the double rig just gets hung up so bad in this timber. That's why we fish one. So.